All right, let's try this again. It's always something. Okay, so let's just start this back over from the top. So, we are talking today in our content party power hour, Tuesdays at 2. I go live every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And what we talk about every week changes. So, make sure that you come every single week and stay tuned for the updates on what is to come every single week. But I repurpose this content into obviously an IGTV, those posts on Thursdays. I do a YouTube video as well in addition. So sometimes that has additional content. And I also repurpose it into blog posts as well. So that is what is happening with these lives. Today, we're doing a content party power hour, and this is something that is typically done within my Wildly You membership. This is something that we do on our monthly Zoom calls every single month. The members within the community come together. We do Q&As, we do hot seat coaching, and more. So I'm going to start back over from the top. If you guys joined me like 12 minutes ago, my phone was buzzing off the wall. Had to tell my team to just stop working for a little bit because I just can't turn them off. It's just a setting in here while my phone is like live. It just keeps vibrating. So anyways, we're going to jump right back in. So here's some reasons why you should be repurposing your content. Number one, it makes your life easier when you are out and about and trying to create your own content and you're trying to batch in advance. And number two, it is so amazing for your audience because they get to understand with crystal clarity what it is that you do, and they get to comprehend your message in a way that is manageable and comprehensible for them. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if you know my friend Katie, the course coach, she's all about creating curriculums and making sure that your members within your community or within your courses are actually learning and applying things. The same holds true with your content. So when you're creating content, and think of this for an example, if you are always creating posts that are, let's just do some random extreme example where you have a graphic with one word on it and then you just like micro blog every single time. Well, what if you have an ideal client or a subset of your ideal client that is not one of those people that's going to read that microblog, but you know that you can make a huge impact on their life or how they run their business, etc., whatever it is that you offer, right? So you want to make sure that you're repurposing that overarching message that was in that microblog into additional content pieces so that they can consume it on a way that makes them happy, fills their cup, is manageable. Another example would be I have a client that her ideal client audience is moms. And microblogging is just not something that's going to work for moms because what if you have like this long drawn out caption and the meat and the heavy hitting piece is like down at the end? Well, mom life happens and you have to go tend to your toddler who's gotten into paint somehow, which was supposed to be put away, right? And you're like, oh my God. And then it is forever lost because Instagram refreshed. So you've lost them as somebody that's consuming your content. So, repurposing your content, utilizing different media styles is something that's going to hugely benefit not only you as the content creator, but in the conversion and creation of your content that your audience is readily available for and always watching for. So, without further ado, let's talk about how to find that pool of posts that you are going to start thinking about repurposing. So this is perfect for an account or a business that has some type of content already created. And today I'm not talking about batching in the back end first. I'm talking about repurposing from old content. So if you don't have any content at all just yet, bookmark this video for later because it will be wildly helpful after you have some things to look at after they've been out in the algorithm for a little bit, out in the wild, if you will. So what I want you to do is you go into your insights and run your insights for a few different things. So look at your top posts in regards to saves, shares, reach, and comments. And the reason that we look at these four specific things differently, and you can also add in website clicks if you have a website that you're trying to drive people to. I love that that metric as well to keep tabs on. This is actually a really good one to add in there. I should have added that in my notes. But so you have 5 things. So saves, reach, shares, comments, and website clicks or taps to profile. Taps to profile could mean that people are going back to consume more content and they're wanting to binge your content. So if you have a lot of taps to your profile, this is an indicator that you want to make sure and do like a quick little audit that your content on your grid is easily bingeable. Now, once you run your insights for those different categories of top performing posts, you can do it 3 months, 6 months, a year in the back end. It's up to you, whatever you want to run it for. Look as you're going through those different categories and see what posts are within each of the different categories. So say I have post A and post A shows up in saves and comments, right? And then I have post B and post B has a whole bunch of website clicks and profile visits, okay? And then post C is in all of them. Well, post C and post A, it sounds like they performed better on like more scales. However, post B could also be highly active because it got people to your website. It got people back to your profile. So it's all about how we're analyzing our insights to make sure that we are seeing results and seeing additional movement back towards the key performance indicator or the metric that we are looking at. So when you go to repurpose your content, you have your list of your top performing posts for the last X amount of months. Okay. This is where my 3 V's of content repurposing comes into play. And this is my baby. This is my proprietary information. I came up with this strategy all on my own. So if this is the first time you're hearing it, then buckle up. This is going to be so fun. If you want more on this topic, the full training is in my magnetic content masterclass, which is available on my website. But let's talk about the 3V strategy really quick. This is going to make your content maximization and batching of repurposed content super simple. Of course, it takes a little bit of practice to get used to the habit of making your brain think this way. But once you start thinking this way in your content creation process, you can automatically batch some alternate posts right there in the creation of new content. So let's get started. The 3Vs. The first one is viral content. Now, what differentiates each of the 3Vs from each other is the key performance indicator that is tracked for them. So with viral, we're looking for shares. We want this post to be shared. So oftentimes we see viral posts that are like memes or fake tweets. Okay. It's heavily relatable. It is something that your ideal client or somebody in a parallel niche will share of your content. It's bringing brand awareness back to your account. So that is the whole idea of a viral post. You'll often see these posts also have ridiculous reach because of the shares. So this is something really cool to add in. It also allows you the ability to show up in a wildly you manner, because oftentimes you'll see people incorporate GIFs or GIFs, however you pronounce it, of their favorite TV shows or something that's really near and dear to them. For example, I love Schitt's Creek, so I use Schitt's Creek a lot. I have a client that likes Seinfeld, so we do Seinfeld memes. It's so much fun. That is a way that you can relate with your audience without actually coming out and saying, fun fact about me, I love Schitt's Creek, right? So that is a viral post. The next V is a value post. I love a good value post. I am one of those people that subscribes to the thought process that you cannot give away too much value for free. Just make sure you have a call to action, because people want to know how they can work with you. So make sure that you continually tell them how they can put dollars in your pocket to get access to your energy, right? So value posts are things where you're educating them, where you are giving them a carousel post of how to do X, Y, and Z, or you could even talk to them about some client case studies. This could be a value type post, all right? Answering FAQs. Quick little examples of that. Your KPI for value posts are going to be typically saves. You could also get a bunch of comments or clicks to your website. So it's just making sure that your KPI, your key performance indicator, is aligning back to whatever your goal for that post was. So this is why one of the pieces when we're reviewing our insights for our top posts, I want you to read your caption and look at the media associated with it and look at those hashtags that you used, because so many pieces go into play for top performing content. And then the last V is, okay, so there's a little backstory about this V. It was going to start out being vulnerable, but vulnerable has this like sappy connotation with it. And I didn't want you to take it that way. So I called it a virtue post. And what this means is this is the perfect opportunity for your audience to get to know you on a more energetic level and a more like deep connection. So this is where you're going to be sharing some vulnerable pieces of your business and also allowing them to see what it would look like to work with you and how you created your offers, why you do what you do. You can talk about your values, so different from value posts. You can talk about your personal values, your business values, etc. This is also a really great opportunity to talk about any philanthropic things that you do or talk about your journey behind the scenes. So that is our virtue style post. Typically, you'll see likes on this content, maybe some comments if people relate to your story. And this one, you'll probably see some DMs as well if you really hit like a nerve with people or they really relate with it. So those are the key performance indicators of your 3 Vs. When you are creating content or when you are repurposing content, the 3 Vs usually typically go along with your media that's associated with your posts. I say usually because our virtue posts kind of sways the scale a little bit. Our like I said earlier, our viral posts are memes or infographics or fake tweets. Value posts could also be infographics. It depends on how you use it. Can also be carousel posts, IGTVs, things of that nature. And then your virtue posts are typically pictures of you or a graphic about a client case study, etc. So those are the 3 Vs. They help you be wildly you. This gives you a strategy that's outside of having to conform to content pillars. I don't know if you guys learned content pillars like I did, but the way that I learned content pillars was you picked 4 or 5 different categories that you wanted to talk about within your business. Now, that's not to say that the 3 Vs can't be seen as content pillars, but the way that I learned them is they were different pieces of information that you wanted to train about within your content. So when I was starting out, I talked about Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook groups, and that was too much. It was diluting my content. It was confusing my audience. They didn't know how I could actually help them. So I switched my strategy. I moved into the 3 Vs. I noticed my content was hitting heavier with my audience and they were able to connect with me more instead of me just kind of serving them on the surface level and hoping that they went up to my stories to get to know me a little bit more. So my 3V strategy is definitely helpful for creating that connection with your audience and creating that magnetic content. So another drop for my magnetic content masterclass is available. You can watch the 2-hour recording. It's $97 on my website. But like I said, the whole key to creating a content strategy that is going to support you in the long run is repurposing your content and showing up in a manner that is wildly you, not only in your content, but in the back end when you're creating it as well. You have to have a strategy and a process that's going to support you so you can sustain it over the long haul so that it can become a habit and something that it's not forced for you to show up and do every single day. I'm going to go into more details of that in the blog post. I've already started writing it, so stay tuned. That's going to drop on Thursday as well. But what I want you guys to do from this, and I forgot that I'm holding this whole thing to have you guys drop in the comments or let me know that you want me to bring you on screen on this Instagram live and ask me a question about some content creation, or you want to repurpose a post and you want to just like hash out some creativity. So if you guys want to let me know that you want to come up on screen, you can even like turn your phone upside down if you want, if you don't want to be seen, but just so that we can chat back and forth. If you have questions, I would love to answer them. You can also drop them in the comments if you want as well. But I don't have a problem with filling the quiet as we wait or see if anybody has any questions. But what I want you guys to walk away, Teller, you want to come up? Okay. What I want you guys to walk away from this with is I want you to know that your content does not have to be stressful. This new update from Instagram where they're telling you that video content is king, that does not need to overwhelm you, and you do not need to work yourself to burn out. There are easier ways to come up with content, and you don't always have to come up with something new. The best businesses out there have probably one product that they started with, and they refined that. they built upon that. They let the tangents come off of that, and it led them down the paths of where they are today. So, Cheller, come on up, girl. Let's talk. If you're watching the YouTube video, I hope you can hear Cheller as she is chatting, because you guys know I got my whole setup over here. All right, I think I invited you. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm so good. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you too.
Yeah. All right, what's up, girl?
Yeah, so I had a question about so adding virtue to use your V.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you suggest in terms of using your own quotes and other people's quotes?
Ooh, that's a really good question. It can be a combination of the two. And if you use somebody else's quote, I would pull what it brought up for you somehow. So if that means that you do another slide underneath it where it's like something that stood out for you and how you applied it, or in the caption itself, then I would lean into that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like that. And then always indicating who put the quote, who added the quote. And then do you feel like on those ones you need a call to action, or those ones just stay?
So this is a really, really, really good question. I think calls to action have become like ingrained in people's minds as it's only like click the link in my bio or buy this from me. I think calls to action can also be understood as maybe calls to thought or calls to conversation. So that action that we're having them do is maybe you just let that quote live in their mind. Maybe that's what you want them to do with it. Because I know that you do meditations. So that could be something hugely beneficial for people. Because how great would it be if like they're at the grocery store and they saw your Instagram post like earlier on the day, they're at the grocery store and they're looking at the cheese, they're buying cheese, whatever. And they're thinking about your quote and they're like, wow. And they have this epiphany in the cheese aisle at the grocery store, right? How awesome is that if you took up that space in their brain? They're like, I need to go tell Cheller that I had this epiphany over cheese and her quote.
Oh my gosh, I would love that. I would love that so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay.
Yay.
I can come up with more questions if you want me to, but I can relinquish my time on your.
Let's see. Does anybody else have any questions? Cheller, you can ask another one.
Okay. So in terms of posting pictures of your face, that's something I struggle with and I'm getting better at, and I've been putting pictures up of myself. But do you think that there's any like downfall?
Uh-oh.
Sorry, that was my alarm to pick up my son.
Oh.
Do you think there's any downfall? Not downfall, but I guess what do you say? Like if I am getting so annoyed with seeing my face on my own feed, and I want to do it a little bit less because that will make me feel better and feel more authentic. What do you say is like kind of a good, I don't know, ratio or?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. So I have two things that came up for you while you're saying that. First, it's very important to lean into what feels authentic to you. So if it feels like too much, then that's really important for you to kind of think about and define what that ratio would be for you. The second thing that I thought of was I am a huge believer in brand photo shoots. I love a brand photo shoot if you can make it happen, or have a friend that's a photographer. And I think they are so good for building confidence and letting your audience see you in a different light other than just a selfie. Because you know how sometimes selfies, like there's that certain feeling behind it where it's like, I'm just gonna like snap, like it's awkward, right? And that kind of makes us feel a certain way about our photos when we post them to our feed if we know they're selfies. So I think that if you tried maybe a brand photo shoot, it might help you wrap your head around being confident about those photos and inviting your audience into the specific story that that photo wants to share. But another thing that you can do is that you can use something like Planoly or even Canva. Like you can create the grid structure in Canva. And sometimes I just take screenshots of my clients' posts and throw them into the grid view that I made in Canva so I could see like the layout. Yeah. If you don't like tons of your head stacked over one another, then you know that when you're planning stuff that you can like space them out a little bit more. But I love, love, love that you're incorporating your face because people love you. They love you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
so
you.
welcome.
And thank you for answering my questions.
Of
That's all I
course.
have for now.
Of course. Thanks so much. I don't know how you hop off. So,
Me either. Maybe I just press the X.
okay.
Try it on my end.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. Does anybody else have any questions? I am obsessed with doing these lives this way where you guys can ask to be part. So if you have a question, please let me know. And I would love to answer it hot seat style for you guys. If nobody else has any questions, don't forget I have a blog post coming out on Thursday. The podcast of this recording straight from this live will be going up on my Wildly You podcast on Spotify and Apple, as well as what else? YouTube video. Y'all, I've maximized this content out the wazoo. Next week, we'll be having a Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, I don't remember what the title is, but make sure you come join. I have a highlight on my profile that lists the upcoming lives as well as a countdown sticker, which you can click to be reminded of the live. But y'all, thanks for joining me. And I am so excited that you came. I hope that if something comes up for you later,